following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee. It's time for Main Street Preps this week with your hosts Russell Venozzi and Tyler Palmatier, talking all things prep sports in the Mid-State. Now, here are your hosts, Russell and Tyler.
Welcome in, everybody. This is Russell Venozzi with Tyler Palmatier for another episode of Main Street Preps this week. And we've got a fun show lined up. Today, we're going to hit the top headlines from the week. We are going to speak with Ensworth boys soccer coach Travis Fravel. And we're going to look ahead to Spring Fling, which is next week, where all the spring sports state champions will be decided. Tyler, you doing all right today?
Yep, doing good. Let's get ready for these last 2 wild weeks.
Oh man, it's going to be a lot of fun. And let's start out with some headlines here. There's some big news last week. You are all over the track records there from Mincy Stiff, and then a day or so later, Reagan Grimes turned around and won up there.
Yeah, I don't know if it's. I could say I'm all over it because it was actually pretty funny, you know. So Brentwood Academy's Mincy Stiff last week. She broke her own state discus record at 157 feet 5 inches. And you know, she has broken that record several times in the last month. And before she broke it, it was about a 37-year-old record. So, you know, you would think she might hold it for a while, but
you think that's safe. But it was
Ravenwood's Reagan Grimes, who has a great athletic pedigree in her family, she threw 161 feet 7 inches about 2 days later. So what's cool about this is I think it's neat. One, when you see those two compete with each other, they're both in obviously they're both going to school in Brentwood. They know each other. The throwers are all pretty close, but there's this interesting setup now before the state meet where both of them can break the state record again, because Stiff practices at about 165, her coach Steve Wade says, and Grimes is probably in a similar boat. It's just one of those events where it's kind of like being at the driving range. You can blast a lot of balls, you know, way out there, but when you get to the tee box, it's a little different. It's very technical. You have to pull it all off. So that's going to be a really cool storyline, I think, at the state meet. 2 kids from Brentwood that are trying to beat each other in the state for the state record. Grimes, of course, will graduate. It's her one chance to grab it. Stiff very well might break it 3-4 more times before she graduates. She's younger, so I don't know. It's a neat storyline. Yeah,
some intrigue there to the field events for sure, and I can certainly confirm that the driving range is in fact different than the tee box. The results are night and day, unfortunately, at least on my end. But Tyler, the region semifinals are in the books now for baseball, soccer, and softball, and that is the Monday and Tuesday night where half the teams go home. It's a pretty devastating night for a lot of seniors and stuff, but for the most part, looking at all the brackets from those sports, things kind of went according to plan, but there were a couple, let's call them maybe miniature surprises, or maybe some not so surprising things as well that happened.
Yeah, I would start with, I guess I'll go with the not surprising stuff. In soccer, you've kind of got a familiar setup with Hendersonville advancing through to play Station Camp in a region final, Brentwood advancing through to play Franklin in a region final, Page advancing through to play Central in a region final. Those will be, you know, rematches between teams that are pretty familiar with each other. And I mean, they're awesome. I mean, and I mean, Russell, you've been around longer than me. This happens all the time, very frequently between these schools. So not a surprise, but you know what? The way that the brackets are drawn up in the TSSAA, I think it's neat that you get to see these teams play each other again. I really do. These are awesome soccer matchups if you're aware of the tradition and the history of the sport around here. The coaching and the talent on the field is awesome between all 6 of those schools. So not a surprise, but still a lot to enjoy there with those 6 teams still alive.
Yeah, and you know, in some cases, the state tournament bracket might be big enough for both those teams coming out of each district. Just the way that it lines up, they'll play in different sectionals, one on the road, one at home. So we'll see if any district can get 2 teams to the state tournament. That's always a pretty neat thing to do if they can. But as far as some other sports, and like I said, these are more semi-surprises at best, but Centennial Baseball knocking off Summit in the region semifinals behind just an amazing game from Eli Lamb. He went 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, and 10 strikeouts on the mound. He had a perfect game going until the bottom of the 6th. And I'll tell you what, I saw him pitch earlier this year. I went to go see AJ Russell at Franklin, and he happened to be pitching against Eli Lamb. Didn't know who that was at the time, but man, this kid is 6'5". He can throw over 90 miles an hour already as a junior. And, at that game where Russell was pitching, there was several college and MLB scouts, and I think a lot of them were there to see AJ, and they ended up leaving impressed with Eli. So Centennial probably has a chance to win any game that he's on the mound, and I believe he will be eligible to pitch Friday with the 3 days rest. So it'll be interesting to see if Centennial runs him out there in some capacity to try to get that win on Friday, to maybe go to the state tournament for the first time in a while for them. And then one other softball game that sort of stuck out. I know Stewart's Creek's had a great season, but they were able to beat Siegel. And Siegel has been kind of a mainstay in the state tournament these last few years. Last year, they were 36-3, just real dominant. They fell off a little bit this year, and now they went home in the region semifinals, which to me, after getting kind of conditioned the last few years of seeing them in the state tournament bracket, that was a little bit surprising to me.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. That was a surprising result. That might have been the most surprising on the baseball, softball side, I think, this year from what I could tell.
Yeah, there's just some ebbs and flows there with programs. And Siegel is just slightly down this year. But lastly, let's give everybody a little tease here, Tyler, about Spring Fling. It's next week. We're going to talk about it at the end of the show. But man, what a fun week that's coming up here for us and for everybody really involved in high school sports across the state.
Yeah, it's super unique. Not every association does this like the TSSAA does. It's very well run. It's exciting. It's a great sporting event, just period. So looking forward to getting out there, and we'll hit some of the highlights of that a little bit later for you. But yeah, should be fun.
Pack your sunscreen and your water.
Oh, for sure.
It's gonna be a long week, but it's gonna be a fun one. So we're gonna take a quick break, and then we'll come back with Ensworth soccer coach Travis Fravel.
This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee sports editor, 3-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
Other guy in Wham married the best looking girl, Bananarama, so other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck, yes. That'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Nobody covers high school sports quite like Main Street Preps, bringing you hyper-local coverage of the teams and athletes in your backyard. Wherever your Main Street is, well, we got a podcast for you. The Sumner County Sports Podcast with Zach Womble. Casey's Take on Sports with Dixon Post and Cheatham County Exchange sports reporter Casey Patrick. The MSP North Podcast with Brady McAtamney and Blaine Keller, covering Montgomery and Robertson counties. To Main Street Preps this week with Russell Venozzi and Tyler Palmatier with a macro view of prep sports in Middle Tennessee. Find the latest prep sports news from your Main Street at mainstreetpreps.com and find these podcasts dropping weekly on these Main Street Media social platforms and wherever you get your podcasts. Now, back to Main Street Preps this week. Your hosts, Russell Venozzi and Tyler Palmatier.
We're back, and it's now time to welcome in Ensworth boys soccer coach Travis Fravel, who joins us by phone now. Travis, you doing okay this morning?
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. And Travis, this is a little bit of an aside to start out, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but every time I see your name, I keep wanting to say Travel because there's the T in Travis, and there's the Ravel and Fravel, and it's taken all my power here to not accidentally say Travel when I'm saying your name.
Yeah, well, it's actually pronounced Fravel, so going away from travel a little bit. But a lot of times when I tell people how to spell it, I just say travel, but take out the T and put it now. It's a lot easier that way.
Okay, so we're going with Fravel then. Okay, that helps a little bit.
That's a better way to remember it. I mean, I looked at it and I saw Fravel. People are strange with the way they pronounce things, and I've never been good at it. So, apologies, Travis. Hey.
Yeah, I'd say about 90% of the people say Fravel, so you're all good.
So Fravel. All right. Well, either way, Travis, it's been a breakout year for your team, and just looking at the results, I mean, the ties against CPA, Father Ryan, and NBA really stand out. Those are some traditional Nashville soccer powers. I mean, do you guys feel like you can compete with anybody at this point?
We really do. We have a lot of confidence in our program right now. The way we've been playing, the way we've been training, it's at a very high level. We feel like what we were able to do this year and what we've been able to accomplish so far, we're just not done. And we feel like at this point we can compete with everyone and look forward to the next opportunity to play at Father Ryan on Friday.
Hey, Travis, this is Tyler. The Ensworth program was something of a project in the beginning, but kind of around the time you got there. What convinced you to take that on after you were serving as an associate head coach at Belmont?
Yeah, I mean, I knew the head of school here, David Bramer, coached his daughter in club and had a good relationship with him. And just through talking to him, and he really just encouraged me. It was more of like called me up and encouraged me to meet with the athletic director, Ricky Bowers. So I drove here, just met with them. And the more I was on campus and the more I talked to people, it felt like an amazing opportunity, amazing fit. I never saw myself. I used to coach high school soccer before moving to Nashville, and I didn't see myself going back to that level. But certainly an eye-opening experience for me and a great opportunity. And if I'd have known now what I know, I probably would have done it a lot sooner. This has been a great fit for me and my family, and certainly being able to grow this program with the resources that's been provided and the support we have here at Ensworth has been great and tremendous.
And this turnaround that you guys have enjoyed happened pretty quickly because this is really only your second full season there at Ensworth with, COVID having canceled that 2020 season. How were you able to get the team up to this level so quickly?
I think, the first season I got in here, I was just around campus. I was meeting with a lot of people, trying to establish myself, and especially with the players, the students, and the athletes around campus. And the very first year, it was canceled to COVID, but we were making a really good push. I'm really bummed that season didn't happen. I think you'd have saw a turnaround maybe in year one. We just got the better athletes. We had the right pieces. I think we were going to be pretty successful. We were able to play one exhibition in which we did really well, and I think we would have had a good run at it. And then last year, it's a little bit different of a year with COVID and everything, and we were really young. We had one senior last year, and if you look at results, we were competing with everyone. It just wasn't going quite our way, and we were just so youthful that I think it's happened over time. You just haven't really realized it because we had a suspended season, and then last season doesn't look like it was as good. But everyone on the team from last year to this year has really improved. And then we've added a few more key pieces that has really helped us of incoming players. And but the growth of the players from last year to this year is what certainly helped make that change.
Travis, Father Ryan coach, Robin Dietrich, is one of the longest tenured soccer coaches around here. 10 state championships. How well do you two know each other, if at all? And what have you learned about the team he's got this year?
Yeah, certainly. If you're involved in soccer in this area, you know who Robin is. There's no question. When I was at Belmont, I recruited players from him. I coached several players in club soccer that went to Father Ryan. He's definitely a staple and somebody that's been around this area, been around the game, and been very successful. So to know soccer in this area, you got to know who Robin Dietrich is, and he's very successful for a reason. He's very good at it, and certainly been watching a lot of his games and watching how he does things and trying to learn from him too, and how do we get better is we learn from better people, and how do we improve our program here is you got to take people like Robin Dietrich and see what they're doing well and try to learn a little bit from them.
And as a follow-up to that, you guys were able to battle Father Ryan to a draw earlier in the year, and of course you're going to rematch with them this week. Is there anything from that match earlier in the season that might help you this week as you're trying to get to the state tournament, or the state Final Four, I should say?
Yeah, certainly. I've watched them play a couple times this year, and then rewatched our game film just 2 days ago from the game, and they're doing a good job. And I think they've gotten better since our game. They've got a few key players back, and watch those game films of who they've gotten back and where they're plugging them. But if you watch our film from our game, we created a lot of great scoring opportunities. We had chances to win the game and chances to win it late, and we missed 2 breakaways that could have sealed the game in the last 5 minutes of the game. And I think we're creating opportunities, and really we just want to put ourselves in an opportunity to win the game. We give ourselves chances, and we put ourselves in the right spot and have opportunities to finish and win the game. That's what we're looking for here, looking to compete and create those opportunities.
And looking at your team here, the scoring really starts with Christopher DiCamillo. He leads the way with 16 goals and 7 assists. That's a big step up for him this year as a junior. I guess, why has he been able to enjoy so much success there at the top?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at last year, we scored 8 goals total last year. We gave up 30. So the switch around is Chris has doubled our goal scoring just by himself. And he scored 16, 7 assists, like you said. It's not all him. He's improved tremendously. He's on another level. He's a handful to deal with. There's no question. But you got to look at what's around him. Parker Wainwright comes in as a senior. He's played soccer before, but he's never played at Ensworth. He's always played baseball. A basketball guy would go play baseball in the spring. Well, he came out this year to play soccer, and he's picked up a big load. He has seven goals, 7 assists, and him surrounded with Chris is taking attention off of Chris a little bit. And then we have an 8th grader that we pulled up, Terence Reynolds, who is a playmaker, pulls a lot of strings for us in the attack, and his ability on the ball certainly grabs a lot of people's attention, which pulls it off of Chris. And but anytime Chris gets the ball, something can happen. You're going to get an opportunity. He's electrifying. He's fun to watch. He's dynamic. So having him certainly changes the program, but pieces around him are helping him.
Yeah, right along those lines, Travis, you read my mind. Parker Wainwright, 7 goals this season. What can you say about Parker? He's one of your seniors who is going to leave, having helped get this program going. Is that right? Has he been with you from the start?
Parker just joined us this year.
Okay, awesome. How can you tell us how he kind of came to the program and what he's brought?
Yeah, so he was always plays basketball, a starter on the basketball team, and then in the spring he usually goes and plays baseball. And I think he just wasn't getting the amount of reps in baseball. Was kind of just on the team. It's kind of hard to go without playing baseball all year and then going hit 80-mile-per-hour fastballs without practicing it all year. So I think he didn't get as much playing time in baseball, and he was like, well, I think I should give soccer a try. And we just started talking. I knew who he was, obviously, from on campus, and it's been an amazing fit for us. He's a great athlete. He works his tail off, but he just does his job really well. And probably we'll put it out soon on our Instagram, but we're looking to fans to vote goal of the year. And in my opinion, he has the best goal of the year for us against CPA. It's a great goal. He scores great goals. He scores at the most opportune opportunities. And certainly can change games. Goals change games, and he certainly has the ability to do that.
Oh, hold on. You're telling me that he played baseball for 3 years and he came over the soccer team.
That's correct. Yep. This is his first year coming to the soccer program.
Wow. So did he play I assume he probably played competitively as a kid, right? Or something like that.
He played at the middle school. He played on the middle school team. He might have played like YMCA rec league when he was really young, but no real club experience. Yeah, and it's crazy to think of what he's been able to accomplish without a high level of training and doing it all year long. I mean, he's certainly helped change the program in that regard. A lot of respect for him and what he's been able to do for us.
That is incredible, Travis. I'll be honest, Russell. I don't. That's one of the sport changes. Every now and then you hear about a kid who comes out for football his senior year, but that's a pretty rare sport change for a senior. I haven't heard about many of those, especially with that kind of productivity behind it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it just goes to show you that talent acquisition can start in the hallways, apparently, huh, Travis?
That's right. Yeah, getting to know the students and having a good relationship with them, and it's all about being relational and making sure what they know they're going to give here is we're going to demand a lot out of them, demand their best, but that's what our program's built around is being relational and making sure they're going to have a good experience. So I think people like Parker Wainwright coming out for the first year will certainly open other students' eyes on campus and realize, oh, maybe I can go make a difference in soccer.
Travis, congrats on all the success so far this year. We're looking forward to seeing how that Father Ryan matchup plays out on Friday, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's exciting. I'm looking forward to the game. I think it'll be a great game, a great matchup.
All righty. Well, we're looking forward to that one too. And that has been Ensworth coach Travis Fravel. I think I got that right this time, Tyler. We appreciate all his time. And man, what a fun tournament that's going to be to see who can get to Spring Fling.
I'm still trying to get over the fact that they've got a kid who's a 3-year baseball player who's their second leading scorer, but maybe I can dig into that later.
Sounds good. Well, we're coming back in just a minute after this break with some Spring Fling talk.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Welcome back to Main Street Preps this week. Once again, your hosts, Russell Venozzi and Tyler Palmatier.
You know, Tyler, I really am excited about this upcoming week because Spring Fling to me, I know it's hot. I know it's been a long school year and everything for everybody, but it's really one of the most fun weeks of the entire year. And there's so much going on. It's all concentrated in one place. It's such a good way to cap off the year, and something I look forward to every year. So I'm excited. There's tons of great things to look forward to, and let's just start there. I mean, what are some things that you're kind of got your eye on for this coming week? I should say next week.
Yeah, well, I should say before I kind of like I touched on earlier. I think it's a cool event. You know, it's all in Murfreesboro. Everything is sort of in one place. I mean, you do have to do some driving around if you're going to really go to every sport or if you're going to try and be a lot of different things, but it's all in one city. That's pretty rare. This stuff can be pretty spread out. When you're talking about 4 classes and 2 private school divisions, I mean, you could spread that out across an entire state region, and they found a way to really pretty much get it all done in Murfreesboro and then conduct it Tuesday through Friday to where, everybody, regardless of what you're doing, gets, you finish that up and then you're on Memorial Day holiday, after a crazy week. It's just sort of it's really neat. I mean, it's a cool way to finish off your high school season, and it's well done. I mean, we've got a media workroom. We're accommodated well. I think the athletes are accommodated well. So let's kind of start there. It's a well-run sporting event, which if you go to enough of them, that not every event is well run. And that goes for every level. I mean, a guy walked into the Super Bowl a few years ago. So, I mean, it's not easy to run events. But I look forward to, I love Spring Fling. You're outside. I really love the track. It's all fun. You can't beat postseason baseball or softball too, but I love the track, and there's some interesting records beyond just the stiff Grimes race. Ariana Reed, the 400-meter runner from Hillsboro, who's signed with UAB. She believes the state record's in reach there for her. Barryon Brown at Pearl Cone, he believes those state records are in reach for him. It's really fun to see. Track is such a peak sport. You talk about peaking at the right time. Nobody tries to peak at the right time more than the runners, because they kind of only have a large enough reservoir of energy and strength to kind of get to a state record push like that. So that could be just a really interesting meet. I mean, records fall at every meet, but when you talk about state records, and especially records like, the 100, those are fun to watch fall. And I think kind of on the baseball, softball side, I think there's a lot of intrigue. Let's talk about baseball. I love what's going on in Division II, Russell, with the area teams we have: CPA, NBA, Lipscomb. Obviously, the state semifinals are not big enough for all three of them, but I'm interested to see what CPA will do, and then how the winner of that NBA Lipscomb series will do. You've probably got more thoughts on that than me. You've covered Division II baseball a little more thoroughly than I have.
Yeah, well, man, that NBA Lipscomb series, that's probably gonna be a toss up there. We'll see. Well, we'll say it seems like Lipscomb's kind of been living on the edge. Both of their series to get here, both went to 3 games. So on one side of the coin, you think, well, are they kind of on their last leg? But on the other, it's like, hey, they've already been in those high pressure situations. While NBA, has kind of been sitting at home, kind of just practicing and sitting around thinking about it. So, there's probably pros and cons to both of those situations. And then CPA, another team that's kind of had to sit around for about 10 days, welcoming in McCauley. That's a team that's regularly there in the mix and in the Final Four. So not going to be an easy task.
Went to Lipscomb last year, knocked them out.
Yeah, they sure did. And then when you look at the Division II single A side, you've got, I feel a little bit better about the paths there. Really Good Pasture and Grace Christian Academy in Franklin are both set up well to get to the Final Four. But yeah, no, there's a lot of intrigue with that private school baseball. I mean, I think it's especially strong here this year. It's been strong for a while, but this year, when you just look up and down those lineups, I mean, just about all those teams have multiple Division I commitments, if not a whole slew of them. So a lot of talent there. And
I
something
think
else.
It's interesting too. Sorry, Russell, but
no, go ahead.
The Lipscomb NBA took the regular season series from Lipscomb. Lipscomb took its regular season series from CPA, and then CPA goes and wins the Middle Region title. So it's really it kind of is like a round robin. I mean, it's just very well played. You know what I mean? I think for us that's cool. But sorry to interrupt. I was just going to slip that in.
Yeah, if you're looking to see baseball with few errors, good pitching, and timely hitting, I mean, those are kind of some of the teams you want to go see.
It's good baseball.
No disrespect to any other teams around here, but it's a high quality of play. But another thing I was thinking about when you talk about CPA, you talked about Barryon Brown earlier. It's kind of neat, like Langston Patterson, Vanderbilt football signee. He's still here. He's playing. He's been hurt, so I'm not sure what his status is, but it's just neat to see these guys who are big football signees sticking around for their last semester. I know so many guys enroll early. That's, of course, going to become even a bigger topic with all the NIL stuff. I was here yesterday on the radio. They were talking about kids skipping their entire senior year and just going straight to college, which is crazy. But it's neat that these guys like Brown and Patterson have stuck around to see this through and to see their other sport through and to try to win another state title here in their last final days as a high school athlete.
Yeah, super cool. I mean, Doesn't happen all the time. And, I was looking through TWSAA released. They were celebrating multi-sport athletes, I think. But there's a few more 5-sport athletes out there than you would think. And that's pretty cool. It's also not easy to do. That's a lot of stuff to be involved in. But kind of to hit softball for a second, I was going to mention, this probably, I don't know how much my coverage will intersect with this. This is probably going to be going out to our buddy Tommy Bryan, but who knows? We haven't figured that out. I'm interested to see what Wilson Central softball will do. 34-10, possibly, one of the best pitchers in the area, at least one of the most, if not the most effective, Kylie Pitzer, University of Louisiana signee. Always fun when a dominant softball team just has an ace on the mound. Sometimes those girls can just power you straight through to a state championship. So that's where my intrigue lies. Haven't seen that particular team out there, but haven't been following along. I think that'll be an interesting thing on the softball side to see. Either way, pack your carbs and your proteins and your sunscreen and your water, because it's that kind of a week. We're going to be outside a lot, and it's kind of a physical grind for us sports writers. So, but we're experienced, Russell. We know how to do this.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to turning this pale office light tan into maybe a real tan, and maybe a little burn by the end of that week. But anyways, we're going to wrap things up here. We appreciate you joining us, and of course, stay tuned to MainStreetPreps.com all this week and all of next week. We're going to be hitting these spring sports championships all across the region. So stay tuned for that.
This has been Main Street Preps This Week with your host, Russell Venozzi and Tyler Palmatier. Follow them online at MainStreetPreps.com for complete coverage of Spring Fling next week at MainStreetPreps.com, and always on Twitter at Main Street Preps. Main Street Preps This Week is a Main Street Media production.